This is a question that often comes up, and I'm going to use it today in our members blog. And one of our members asked, when should my player get started in their load stride mechanism, and when should they actually start to swing? And we know that timing is the most difficult part of hitting. And this is something that we search for at every level of baseball. Usually, if a player is off time, typically they're late. And the first thing a coach will tell a player when they're late is, hey, you need to get started sooner. But what's that really mean? Timing is such an intrinsic feel that it's very difficult to teach. So I'm going to give you some things today that are already on this side, but we'll kind of consolidate it and we'll lead you in the right direction on where to look for these drills and then how I diagnose it. First of all, this is something that we did years ago, myself and a fellow Cubs coach, Dan Puente, when we were, I think, both working for the White Sox at the time. We went to a Cubs series, and I used our high-speed cameras, and I filmed the pitcher and hitter in the same frame, and we charted every pitch of the game and filmed everyone. What we ended up doing is charting when the player got started, where was the pitcher in the delivery, when they got to foot down as a hitter, where was the pitch on the spectrum of the timeline between pitcher's hand and home plate, when they started the swing, what was the result of contact, and we charted all of that. Now, loading mechanisms go back to movement profile types. So if I have looser movers and stiffer movers, they're probably going to have different looking loading mechanisms. Stiffer movers typically have smaller moves. Looser movers typically have bigger moves. So you can't really say there's just like a one size fits all on when a player needs to get started in their loading mechanism. But we found one thing that was really, really important, and it can become a staple and baseline that you base everything else off of. What everybody had in common that was on time with a swing, it was that the body's center of mass, just think of that as the belly button, began to gain ground in a positive direction right at ball release. If the ball was out of the hand and the player's center of mass, belly button, had not started its forward advance yet, they were going to be rushed and they were going to be late. That means they have all these things that they have to do to get the foot down and launch the swing, and they have less time to get them all done. So that's going to affect your mechanics. So there's a really easy way that I've encouraged parents to film this, and you can do it from the side, which is a better view. You can do it from the umpire's perspective too, behind home plate and through the fence. But it's use your high-speed feature, your slow-mo feature, on whatever device that you have, and make sure that the hitter and pitcher are both in frame. And then you can look and see, is my player gaining ground? Is the belly button gaining ground? And look at where the hand is and where the release is. If the ball is out of hand, likely their moves are going to be rushed and it's going to affect their mechanics in a negative way. We have some good drills for this on the website as well. The one that I probably like the most is putting a tee at home plate, having a dad or coach behind the L screen still, that's an important piece, behind the L screen, and going through different pitching motions. And you could go through the windup, you can do a slide step, you can do a traditional stretch, but what all of them have in common is when I get through my full delivery, full speed and release, the player then is going to gain ground on my release and hit the ball off the tee. The feedback then comes from the coach or the parent and says that was on time, you were late getting started, or very rarely is somebody too early, but that feedback is welcomed as well. So that's the key ingredient, the key staple of when is a player getting started, are they getting started on time? You go to, is my belly button gaining ground on release? Then you rewind. How big is my player's loading mechanism? And did I have time to complete it without being rushed? So we rewind that way, and that'll give you the answer, is my player getting started on time or not?